Hello and welcome to the channel. As always, like the video, and if you enjoyed the story, leave a comment on if you would want more. This fanfiction was not created by me, but in the description there is a link to the fanfic so you can show your support to the creator and read along. Without any more delay, let's dive into the story.
In the woods, miles away from the river he had fallen into, Kiba was sitting under a tree trying to take cover from his pursuing opponents. As he cradled Akamaru's injured and unconscious body, he growled to himself, "If only I'd been stronger. Akamaru would have never gotten hurt if I had been. I can't beat anyone I face, not any real shinobi anyway. I lost to Naruto twice, and now this guy? What am I doing with myself?" He grabbed the wound on his stomach where he stabbed himself to injure one of his enemies when they attempted a parasitic jutsu to kill him. He couldn't run any further, he knew he wouldn't have gotten much distance anyway. "So you finally stopped running?" Kiba saw that the connected brothers, Sakan and Yukon, coming closer to him. "You were pretty bothersome to try to take down." Kiba chuckled humorlessly. "Well, it was a good time while it lasted, huh?" The two sound ninja stalked Kiba down to finish the job when a familiar puppet came rushing onto the scene, chattering and scattering the two brothers to separate from one another and dodge. "Man, is Naruto the only Konoha ninja that doesn't need backup or something? He bailed you out and now I'm getting the dog kid out of his situation. I take offense to that. Naruto may have assisted me in my battle, but I was far from defeated." The two voices appeared from the trees to reveal Niji and Kankuro, who was using his puppet Karasu. "Thanks for the directions, Hyuga. I might have been a little later otherwise." Sakan voiced their opinion. "Who the fuck is this with you two Konoha trash?" Kankuro and Niji looked at one another and Niji gestured for Kankuro to speak. "I am Sabaka no Kankuro. A shinobi of Sunagakure, ally to Konoha, and here to kill you both." Their attention fell on the wounded Kiba as they heard him hiss in pain due to his injured abdomen. "Go and help out that kid, I'll beat these two myself." Niji nodded and went to check on Kiba while Kiba grimaced as Niji helped him get in a decent sitting position to examine him with Byakugan. "You two sure made it right in the nick of time. So did you beat that spider guy back there?" Niji kept scanning the extent of Kiba's wounds. "Naruto arrived and ended our fight before it could escalate any further. It's a good thing too, because I wasn't sure how I would have beaten him. He was incredibly difficult to attack. We caught up to the team afterwards, but when we got there you and Lee were gone." Kiba chuckled as he watched Kankuro single-handedly beating back the two Oto twins. "Well, it could be worse, I suppose. Nobody is dead yet and I'll be fine." He looked up at Niji hopefully, "Right?" Niji smirked. "Yes, nothing too vital was hid within your wound. It's just enough to inflict decent internal trauma." "Ah." Kiba looked over to see a second puppet full of blades that used to be part of Karasu. Kiba turned green as he could surmise what had happened, and poor Niji didn't even turn around as he pretty much saw the entire thing happen in its entirety because he had been looking inside of Kiba. Near 360 degrees of vision and X-ray capabilities, yay. Kiba voiced the opinion of both boys. Okay? Nice finish I guess." Kankuro watched the blood oozing out of the bottom of his puppet Kurori, Black Ant, and turned back to them with a smirk. "Thanks. This puppet combination is one of my favorites." He walked over to Kiba and looked him over. "So how is he?" Niji deactivated his Byakugan to get the picture of the brothers being impaled and stuffed inside of a puppet out of his orbital sockets. "Kiba will be fine for now, but we need to get him back to Konoha for treatment, him and Akamaru. Carrying him might pose a problem and cause heavier blood loss however." Kankuro grinned at them. "No problem." He went over to Kurori and knocked on it once to open it as the two corpses rolled out onto the ground. Kiba held back a dry heave and Niji's eye twitched. Kankuro looked inside his puppet. "Yeah, this should be just fine. We can put him in this and carry him that way. He won't be at risk at all." Kiba got a tick mark on his head. "Like hell I'm getting in that thing. You just killed two people in it. There's still pieces of them inside. And I think they released their bowels when you killed them too because I smell shit." Kankuro sighed and moved his puppets along like a kid that was told to get up and go do his chores. Fine. I'll go wash it out in the river, alright?" Kiba growled. "Fuck that shit. You better have some disinfectant on you, goddammit. As two figures flew through the woods back towards Konoha, the only sound coming from them was actually coming from the thing that one of them was carrying. Tayuya had woken up on Choji's shoulder about an hour after Naruto knocked her out and wouldn't shut the hell up. From calling them pubeless rapists to needle-dick transsexuals, she just kept bitching them out. Eventually Shikamaru ripped her hat off of her head and stuffed it into her mouth as a makeshift gag to get some peace and quiet, and now he and Choji were basking in the relative silence of their momentary victory. I say relative silence because she was still mumbling nasty curses through the gag. Shikamaru was currently thinking, this mission went straight to hell faster than I could have ever assumed it could have. My formation was useless when we were discovered and we had to break off into one-on-one fights. If Naruto hadn't shown up, we could have been in some serious trouble. Those guys were way stronger than us. The thought came to a close as they heard leaves rustling nearby. Choji set Tayuya down and prepared to fight, as did Shikamaru when Temari landed on an adjacent branch. Phew, I finally caught up with you guys. I see you had a little scrape of trouble. Seeing Tayuya all tied up and cursing, she smirked. Looks like you didn't need backup after all. Choji sweated and chuckled. Oh. Yes, we did. Trust me, we did. Shikamaru nodded. It's true. We didn't beat her, Naruto did. Naruto beat two others, captured this girl here, and then went off further to keep up the chase. Choji said the first guy almost killed him one-on-one. Temari blinked in surprise. Naruto's out here too? He must have been rushed out even faster than we were. So you're saying the headless mohawk guy that we saw on the way here and the dead spider guy with a kunai in the back of his head were examples of Naruto saving your asses? Choji and Shikamaru nodded. Choji raised his hand. I was there when he started fighting the mohawk guy. If the fight stayed the way it started off, then yes, Naruto definitely killed that guy. After picking up Tayuya, they set back out for Konoha. Shikamaru spoke up. So you guys were sent to back us up? Temari nodded. Right after Naruto left Suna, we got a messenger hawk from Konoha asking for assistance for an emergency, so we left immediately. With the speed we were moving, I thought we would have passed him on the way, but he must not have been joking about how he said he could run straight from Suna to Konoha non-stop. Shikamaru chuckled. You'd better believe it if he told you. Naruto beat 3 of these guys with little to no trouble. Where are your teammates? Temari pointed her thumb over her shoulder. We split up in the 3 different directions that we sensed your group in. They probably found the rest of your group by now. Shikamaru sighed in relief. That's good. This troublesome mission finally has a silver lining around a gray cloud. Let's get back to Konoha and wait for the others. Naruto and Kimimaro stood facing off, Kimimaro using his cursed seal level 1 form, Naruto activating the Kyuubi shroud. The two stood still while the wind blew across the field. Kimimaro pulled the bones out of both of his arms to dual-wield swords. Let us begin. A short quirk of Naruto's lips was all the indication to start that either needed as they moved as blurs across the battlefield. Naruto was dodging Kimimaro's double-handed strikes and attempting to counter with his claws. Naruto ducked a dual slash at his head but ended up getting kicked back by Kimimaro. Naruto ducked down low and rushed at Kimimaro's legs, shooting for his knees with a takedown attempts, sweeps, and swiping at his legs and lower torso with his claws while simultaneously avoiding low stabbing attempts from Kimimaro. Kimimaro was the best all-around close-range fighter in pretty much all of Otogekure, and a good fighter can tell things about their opponent's style from watching them attack. Kimimaro saw that what Naruto gave up in poise and precise movements due to his influx of power he gained in terms of his bloodlust and ways to cause injury to his enemies. If Kimimaro didn't up his own power himself, then the attack would have began to overwhelm him. After dodging a slash at his face, Kimimaro cut into Naruto's hip on both sides with a cross slash and cut into his chest with rapid slashes that sent the demonically charged blonde backwards. Naruto picked himself up by his sword that he landed by and looked back out at Kimimaro while holding the handle. Where there was momentarily blind rage in Naruto's eyes, cognizant thought made a return. Wow. I almost started losing it there for a second. I need to train more using this chakra or else I might not be so lucky next time. I forgot about what too much of this stuff would do to me. One tail is overbearing. Naruto pulled the sword from the ground and smirked at Kimimaro before the two vanished and began clashing once again. The sound of bone clashing with steel echoed around the area, as they crossed blades with one another again. Naruto's attacks once again became a fluid match for Kimimaro's sleek movements as the two dealt an equal amount of grazing wounds to one another as they met in a stalemate in Kenjutsu. When they broke off again, Naruto threw his sword like a javelin at Kimimaro, and at the relatively close range that the two were at, it thudded directly into his breastbone, however and barely sunk in at all despite the force used. Naruto scoffed as Kimimaro pulled the sword out and threw it aside. "Those are some seriously tough bones, that would have run anyone else clean through." Naruto backed away and rushed in again, this time forming a Kage Bunshin as a feint to engage with his hands while the original leapt over Kimimaro to end up behind him. Naruto quickly molded wind chakra around his fists and held his fists together before shooting them out to utilize Futon, Fujin Seiken, Wind Release, Divine Fist of the Wind God. Kimimaro looked back when he felt the influx of chakra, but this allowed the clone of Naruto to kick him off of their physical clash, hard, sending him into the crushing force of the wind jutsu. As the attack hit Kimimaro and began pushing him forward at the clone, he was kicked by the clone in question, formed the exact same jutsu and shot it off at the incoming Kimimaro. The two attacks smashed into one another with Kimimaro in between them. For the time that the jutsu held up, Naruto could see that Kimimaro's entire frame visibly compressed under the crushing pressure of the powerful attack. Kimimaro landed on his feet, panting heavily from the intensity of Naruto's jutsu. Naruto audibly sucked his teeth as he and his clone fired off the attacks once more, smashing Kimimaro between them with even more force this time. Naruto hit him so hard with the attack that he clearly heard the sound of bones cracking on Kimimaro's figure. Naruto's eye slightly twitched. "Tough bones or not? You should be human paste after that. I put a ton of chakra into that one. Nothing short of some kind of metal can stand up to that kind of pressure." Despite not being killed by Naruto's double futon, Fujin Seiken, it still did damage. The pressure did end up having an effect on Kimimaro. Naruto saw the whites of Kimimaro's eyes turning blood red, meaning that the intense pressure popped blood vessels up there. Blood ran from Kimimaro's ears and nose, even from underneath his finger and toenails. Kimimaro didn't seem to be in any pain, but it was obvious that such internal damage had left him in agony. "Do you see?" Kimimaro dropped the swords in his hands as he began to transform again, Orochimaru-sama and his ambition. "That is why I fight, for his goals and dream. I am his weapon, and I will allow myself to be broken if it will prevent someone like you from stopping him." Kimimaro's skin turned brown and 6 large bone spikes protruded from the sides of his back. In addition to that, a spiky tail emerged from his back, and upon seeing that, Naruto just could not help himself. He pointed at Kimimaro with a dull expression on his face. "Is that a motherfucking tail? Seriously? You grew a tail?" Kimimaro stood back up and looked at Naruto with a superior gaze. "This is Orochimaru-sama's gift to me. And with it, I will repay him for all he has done by vanquishing the ones that stand in the way of him and his grand plans." Kimimaro pulled out his spinal column to form a flexible, spiky chainstaff. "This is the Tasenka no Mai, Itsuru, Dance of the Clematis, Vine. You are quite skilled to push me this far, but you will not win. Orochimaru-sama has plans for Sasuke Uchiha. It is most unfortunate for you that you will not live to see them come to fruition." Naruto drew his sword once again. "Well, in order to make that happen, you're going to have to come over here and fight me, unless you think you can kill me by talking me to death." Kimimaro snapped his new weapon in a test of sorts. "For the future of Otogekyure and Orochimaru-sama, you will die today." Naruto set his sword in a ready stance and gazed out at Kimimaro coldly. "For someone that seems to have a fetish for saying that they're going to kill me, you sure do a lot of talking." Kimimaro began whipping his chainstaff at Naruto, who found that Kimimaro was far faster in this form than before. "It looks like this transformation of his isn't just for show." Naruto took a lash on his shoulder that ripped into his flesh deeply. Kimimaro then hit Naruto with the whip and had it wrap around Naruto's right arm and pull him forward to sink a kick deep into his ribs that freed him from the weapon at the cost of flesh and blood being shredded from his arm. Naruto held the injured limb and watched his blood drip off of his body and onto the ground before he heard hissing signifying that he was healing somewhat. Naruto growled as he stood back up, keeping his eyes locked on Kimimaro. He decided to go on the attack this time, But every time he took a swing at Kimimaro he ended up getting a lash on his hands. Eventually Naruto roared as he went for a heavy overhead swing, but a strike from Kimimaro's whip sent it out into the distance far from the point of any kind of retrieval. Kimimaro backed off and began whipping Naruto, cutting into his body and drawing blood with every shot. He struck Naruto across his chest, his back, his arms, wherever he could hit Naruto cleanly he did hit Naruto. After an endless barrage of strikes from the whip of his enemy Naruto dropped to the ground shaking in pain as blood fell from his body to the grass below, staining the green blades red. His shirt was in tatters and was utterly unwearable any longer. Kimimaro wrapped his chain staff around Naruto's arm and jerked him forward, dragging him across the ground on his left side. Naruto eventually regained his footing and Kimimaro's eyes widened as he saw what had been hidden in Naruto's left hand, but he had given Naruto too much momentum and by now Naruto had a full running start heading his way. Thrusting out his left hand that had a threatening blue sphere spinning in the palm, Naruto shouted out the name of his attack at the top of his lungs as he slammed it into Kimimaro's body, Rasengan, spiraling sphere. Die you son of a bitch. As the jutsu drilled into Kimimaro's body, flesh visibly flew from the point of contact. The force from the attack sent Kimimaro flying away at a high velocity, pulling the whip with him as it pulled itself from Naruto's arm, taking yet another bite out of Naruto's already heavily wounded body. Naruto fell to the ground clutching his bloody arm before he started crawling towards the direction that Kimimaro flew in, trying to confirm his kill. What an incredibly destructive ninjutsu! If I had not grown a layer of bone underneath my skin that most certainly would have ended our battle. Naruto saw Kimimaro standing and walking over to him from the far distance that he had been sent. Where Naruto hit him in the body there was the area where Naruto ripped through his skin, a spherical circle of brown and within there was a visible film of white with a spiral groove carved deeply into it with blood slightly seeping through the cracks that the mark formed, the bone he had been talking about. Naruto punched the ground hard with his injured arm and stood up again. Just fucking die already, goddammit. I should have killed you 4 times already and you're fucking standing like a goddamn zombie. I hit you dead on. I heard it, I felt it. I heard and felt the fucking Rasengan grinding into you, that was a kill shot. You should be split in half. Fuck a Kekkei Genkai, that shit isn't right. Naruto was using as much of the Kyuubi's chakra as he safely could and Kimimaro was outclassing him. It wasn't that Naruto didn't have what it took to go up against him in his second level form, it was the fact that Kimimaro seemingly had 9 lives or something, because the Shikatsu Miyaku, dead bone pulse, kept Kimimaro from taking the brunt of Naruto's attack damage. He couldn't cut through his bones, he couldn't slip a weapon through the ribs for a stab at his organs, hell he couldn't even crush him with enough pressure to bend iron because Kimimaro could just manipulate his skeletal frame to protect his vital points. Naruto sighed and picked up a taijutsu stance once again to attack. How the fuck can I kill him? He just keeps coming. I know I'm hurting him, I have to be, every attack I'm landing would leave anyone else in critical condition if not kill them outright. Naruto didn't have time to ponder too much as Kimimaro brought his whip back out and began attacking again. Naruto did his best to avoid getting anywhere near the bony barbs of the weapon, but Kimimaro kept picking up the pace of his attacks and hit Naruto in his legs, sending him to his knees. Kimimaro slung the weapon out once more to wrap it around Naruto's body. It was stopped by a burst of sand that squeezed between the whip and protected Naruto from further harm. Even more sand then appeared and came at Kimimaro, who jumped back and put distance between himself and Naruto. A smile broke out onto Naruto's face as he felt the familiar presence of his desert friend. Hey Gaara. What's up? Gaara slowly walked up to Naruto, who was still on his knees, and stared out at Kimimaro. Nothing. Gaara was suddenly surprised by a bloody Naruto wrapping Gaara in a hug. I'm glad to see you. I thought I wouldn't get a chance to go after Sasuke. What are you doing here anyway? He shrugged Naruto off of him after a moment. My siblings and I were requested by your Hokage to assist a retrieval team for Sasuke Uchiha. Are you having trouble with this one, Uzumaki? Naruto was relishing this moment of reprieve from combat due to his injuries, and talking with Gaara was allowing him time to heal and regain some energy. Great, now someone can go back up Rock Lee. I sent him to chase after Sasuke before he could get away. I need you to go help him out. Surprise was not evident on Gaara's face except for the raised eyebrow. Are you not having trouble with your opponent? Pulling off the remains of his tattered red shirt, Naruto chuckled lowly. Yes, but this is a dual Gaara. I don't get all out of shape about this kind of thing often in a fight, but I need to beat this guy myself to get some peace with myself. Just go and help Lee. I'll be fine. Gaara looked at Naruto for a moment as the smile left Naruto's face and his stare turned chilly. I wasn't really asking you, Gaara. Either you go after Lee and let me finish this, or I'll kick your ass off into the woods until you can't even see the field anymore, and you know damn well I'm capable of that. Gaara stared back until he stepped back and ran off towards the border. I will go, Uzumaki, but you had better not lose. Naruto waved over his shoulder as Gaara left the area. Kimimaro strode forward, swishing his tail. That was honorable of you to elect to continue our battle one-on-one in order to keep your comrade alive and safe from my wrath. I will make your death as honorable as I can for trash such as you. Naruto grinned at Kimimaro evilly. I didn't make him leave because I thought he would die fighting you. Hell, I won't die fighting you, because you can't kill me. I made Gaara leave because while I am fully capable of killing you here, it's going to cause me to go a little overboard, and I don't need too many witnesses for this. I catch enough crap without people knowing I can do this. The Kyuubi stopped focusing on Naruto's fight when he realized what Naruto was going to do. Kit, no. Wait. Your body isn't sturdy enough to handle the stress that it will cause you. You don't even have enough of your own energy and chakra to attempt it. Naruto didn't answer, instead choosing to undo the bag on his waist and empty its contents into his hand, grin still in place. In the palm of his blood-stained hand were 3 soldier pills. Naruto looked at Kimimaro defiantly and popped all 3 at once. After a second, Naruto began to twitch as the veins on his head began to pulsate. Kimimaro was curious as to what Naruto was doing at this moment. All of those pills would require an immediate outlet for his chakra, or else he would die within less than 5 minutes. Naruto expelled as much of his chakra as he could, enveloping his body in an aura of blue. He then channeled as much of the Kyuubi's chakra as his body could handle, generating at one moment. The red glow from his body raised up high into the sky. As suddenly as it was all expelled, it was all sucked right back into Naruto's body. It didn't dissipate, it didn't fade away as if he had just stopped using it, no. He sucked it back into his body. You could literally see the chakra entering through his pores, turning his skin the color of an angry red, as if his entire body was irritated greatly. Naruto fell to his knees as he began scratching at his skin and screaming in pain as a vulpine snout began extending from his face while he gritted his teeth, now becoming fangs. Naruto's ears retracted into his head and reappeared on top as his hair turned red. His pores, which were still wide from absorbing so much chakra, began to quickly sprout red hair from them, covering his body in fur. Naruto's muscle mass increased to an added 1/2 of what it already was, pumping him up considerably. His claws extended even more than they already were. Naruto's spine pushed downward out of his pants and skin and split into 2 before muscle and skin grew over both segments, followed by more fur to make bushy, white-tipped fox tails. In the end, he looked like a werewolf, only as a fox instead of a wolf. Naruto was kneeled over on the ground, panting heavily following the violent transformation. He slowly rose to his feet, looking at Kimimaro with pupil-less glowing red eyes with one black slit in the middle. Naruto chuckled painfully in a warped voice, wow. Ugh, I didn't think it would hurt that much. I guess Kyuubi was right, my body can't take this transformation yet. I'm glad I didn't try the real one, just the bastardized version. Kimimaro tried to make heads or tails of what he had just seen. It looked like a level 2 cursed seal transformation, only it looked natural. The transformations of the cursed seal were entirely generated by the dark, tainted impure enzymes that the seal always had pumping throughout the user's body. Going with the feelings and suggestions that the enzymes would invariably provide you with made you mentally weak, but it was like a drug. Fighting what the seal gave you, however, could hurt you, as Anko Mitarashi could definitely attest to. But still, it was all an artificial amplifier. What Kimimaro had just seen Naruto do had not felt dark or unnatural at all. It felt like it was supposed to happen. The only time throughout the entire sequence of events that he felt hate and bloodlust and darkness was when Naruto flared the oppressive red chakra that he then absorbed. From that point, it was like watching a natural metamorphosis. He was absolutely amazed. What are you? Naruto scratched his head sheepishly. I'm whatever you wanna call me. It doesn't matter because you're going to die here all the same anyway, so for the next few moments you can call me what you'd like. His fox-like grin that was on his human visage chilled Kimimaro as it showed on his true fox-like features. But for the sake of me separating myself from you cursed seal assholes, I guess you can call this the Kitsune trigger. Naruto flexed his claws and tested his tails out, smiling as he easily manipulated them. Alright, enough chit-chat, you've seen one of my trump cards and now you must die. Naruto vanished. There was no blur, there was no streak of red, there was only an afterimage that simply faded out of existence. He left no trace of his former presence there, no broken grass, no sound of footsteps, nothing. Kimamaro's eyes were darting all about as he whipped his body all around. There was no way that there was someone that was that fast enough to reveal nothing. Well, he kept that theory right until he ended up taking slashes across his body that cut through the skin and muscle straight to his bones. He recoiled from his deep cuts and ended up getting cracked directly in the face, and Kimimaro couldn't even tell you what had just hit him. A fist? A shin? A knee? An elbow? What? The impact of the attack sent Kimimaro rolling back like a rag doll. He stood and spun around rapidly with his arms out. As he gained speed, he let off an endless amount of bullets from his fingers. All around him the field was littered with misfired bones that he was letting off like shells from a mounted machine gun. Kimimaro was stopped when his legs were taken out from under him, sending him head over heels to the ground. He jumped back up to his feet. What the hell are you? Your executioner. Kimimaro didn't have time to turn and face the voice in his ear before his arms were grabbed from behind and jerked out of the socket as Naruto had just jumped over him from behind while holding his arms and landing in front of. Naruto leaned far forward, using Kimimaro's weight to keep him grounded, and started smashing savage single-leg mule kicks into Kimimaro's torso, as if he were trying to rip his arms off of his body. Naruto then jumped off of the ground and planted a vicious twin-legged double mule kick to Kimimaro's face, letting go of his arms at the same time, sending him flying off backwards. Naruto looked at Kimimaro, whose arms were backwards at his sides. Fix that, you bitch. Kimimaro simply rotated his arms with a sick crackling noise until they were back in place. Naruto's sweat dropped. I didn't really mean do it. Naruto then vanished again and hit Kimimaro again and again. He couldn't see Naruto's attacks, but they couldn't kill him. It was the ultimate conundrum of combat. Kimimaro couldn't hit Naruto to save his life at this point, but on the flip side, Naruto couldn't end the fight himself. Naruto was too fast to be caught by anything Kimimaro could do and was utterly battering him, in addition to him having an almost inexhaustible battery at his disposal, but he couldn't fucking kill Kimimaro. It always came back to that, he would not die. It was the embodiment of the unstoppable force meeting the immovable object, and the fight just would not end. Naruto was getting sick and tired of Kimimaro getting up from everything he did and just walking forward to try again. After knocking Kimimaro down again, Naruto began jumping on Kimimaro's back like a trampoline, savagely flattening him deeply into his own body-shaped crater that was getting deeper and deeper. Why won't you just fucking die? Die. 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 Naruto jumped high into the air and landed as hard as he could with his knees into Kimimaro's spine. He scoffed to himself as he knew he would just get right back up. Naruto crouched down on Kimimaro's back as low as he could muster, and jumped with all of his might into the air, intent on eradicating the last of the Shikatsumiyaku bloodline. Kit! What, QB? Can't you see I'm getting my kill on here? Naruto was still rising into the air as he spoke, with eyes locked on Kimimaro set to crush him like an ant. Kyuubi roared from inside Naruto's head, listen, you whelp. You directly went against me once already when you used the Kitsune trigger, you will listen to me now. Naruto kept his ascent into the sky as he was now getting stuck in the clouds. Hell, he could see the valley of the end from where he was. Your body is breaking down. You weren't properly conditioned to use this form yet, as you already knew before you did it. You need to end this. Now. Use the Amari, menacing ball. Naruto would have slapped himself if it wouldn't have looked silly for a humanoid fox hanging almost 300 feet in the air to slap himself. Why the fuck didn't I do that from the start? He ain't gonna get up from that. Naruto channeled raw demonic chakra in his hands and formed a sphere before consuming it. Yuck. I forgot this chakra tastes like crap. Naruto yipped loudly as he fired a beam from his mouth, instead of a ball, that just ended up hiking him even higher into the air as it careened down at Kimimaro, who was stuck inside of his body-sized crater. As it hit Kimimaro, it vaporized the entire landscape around the point of impact in a hellacious explosion that rocked the earth and sent debris and other things high into the air with a horrible sound. Konoha Hokage Tower. Tsunade was sitting in her office with a bottle of sake while massaging her temple. This job is going to kill me one of these days. Boom! The entire tower shook with earthquake-like force as Tsunade fell from her seat onto the ground. Everything on her shelves and on her desk shook and fell to the floor from the force of the tremor. As quickly as it came it passed and she shot to her feet to look out of the window on the ruckus that it caused throughout the village. People on the ground, windows broken, potted plants littering the sides of the streets. Tsunade listened to all of the panic. What the hell was that? Gates of Konoha no Sato. Temari, Shikamaru, and Choji hit the ground and covered up the second the tremors hit. Tayuya had fear in her eyes as she was still bound and utterly helpless. As the bout passed, Temari voiced the thoughts of all of them. What the hell was that? Forests around Konoha. Niji rubbed his head as he had fallen out of the tree he was jumping from during the shockwave. Niji looked up to Kankuro, who had latched onto the tree branch he was on like a sloth to avoid falling. Is everyone alright? Kankuro let go of the tree and landed on the ground. What the hell was that? What happened? They both turned around to see Kurori upturned and heard Kiba beating on it from the inside. Why did I land on my head? Shit. I'm bleeding again. Naruto drifted down to the ground easily with the use of his tails as a propeller. Upon landing, he grabbed his tails and rubbed them. Kami, what a workout. My tails are gassed. Naruto then looked around at the destruction from his attack. He was standing in the middle of a crater that was 3 miles wide right on top of a pile of ashes that he kicked around. I got you this time, you dirty bastard. Naruto gestured to the wreckage that he created. Regrow that motherfucker. A second tremor happened that was smaller than Naruto's. Not that he was on the ground to feel the first one, but it shook him up. Naruto's eyes widened as he heard the voice of a dead man. Sawarabi no Mai, Dance of the Seedling Fern. A forest of bones jutted from the ground suddenly, catching Naruto off guard. The jutsu filled all of the immediate area with sharp bones that extended high into the air. Yip, yip, yip. No, and no. Naruto was slowly hovering down from the air, tail spinning furiously to slow his descent as he again jumped high into the air to dodge the death trap that Kimimaro had set out for him. Naruto eventually latched onto one of the bones that stuck out higher than the others. Damn, this is one hell of a suicide jutsu. But too bad, sucker. You missed. Kimimaro then suddenly emerged half of his body from the bone Naruto was attached to with a bone drill around his arm. His skin was missing and seared off on multiple areas of his body, revealing muscle and parts of his skeleton. Time slowed down as Kimimaro thrusted his bone drill at Naruto. Die. I will not lose for the sake of Orochimaru-sama. Kimimaro drilled into Naruto before he burst into smoke as a broken ninjato dropped from where Kimimaro had made contact. Naruto was nowhere to be found. Kimimaro's eyes quivered as tears came to the forefront. Blood seeped from his mouth and he slumped over lifelessly. Blood and tears fell into the forest of bones as Kimimaro left the world of the living with one regret: he could not finish off Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto sat on the outskirts of the bone forest panting in relief. Oh Kami. That was close. I love that sword so much, I need to come back and get it. Kawarimi is amazing. Naruto sighed and let his Warfox features from Kitsune trigger recede. Naruto began to walk away before he collapsed to the ground in pain. Gah. What happened? Why am I in pain? His questions were answered by the Kyuubi. I told you that your body wasn't ready to use the trigger again, and this is the result of your ignorance. Prolonged use of the kitsune trigger has cracked every single bone in your entire body. That's what you get for using a technique you weren't ready to utilize, and you pretty much almost overdosed on soldier pills. Naruto laid out on the ground, twitching occasionally from the pain of his entire body. I'm aware of that now. And I have to say, after considering everything that just happened. A smile came on his face, it was totally worth it. Uzumaki. Naruto's vision was filled with a red-headed Jinchuriki standing over him. Did you win? Naruto gave him a dry look. Does it look like I lost? Or does the graveyard of bones with the motionless body of the team I was fighting stuck inside one of them signify that he kicked my ass and killed me? A mouthful of sand was given to Naruto as a reply, who painfully rolled over and spit it all out. Gross. You fucking crush people with that shit. Naruto noticed Rock Lee's body held by Gaara's sand. Is he Dash? No. Gaara used his sand to help Naruto stand up to get a better look. Lee had scrapes and bruises on his face. His spandex suit had holes in it around his shoulder that had sealed itself up from the Chidori. He was still breathing clearly though, he is still very alive. The Uchiha defeated him, but not without a massive fight from the looks of where they did battle. I believe he even used the technique that he used on me during our fight to match power with the Uchiha. Naruto punched his own palm, ignoring the pain for the time being. Fuck. I'm sorry, Lee. I just couldn't finish my opponent off to help you fast enough. He turned to Gaara. Come on, let's go back to Konoha, we both need some hospital time. Gaara helped up in the same manner as he assisted Lee and leapt off for Konoha. Kakashi stood still at the Valley of the End. A Konoha Hydeate was at his feet with Sasuke's scent washed from it by the rainfall. He looked past the statue of Madara Uchiha towards the border of the country. I failed again. Naruto sat in his hospital room 2 days after returning to Konoha from the failed mission to retrieve Sasuke. Naruto was pleased to know upon their return that Rock Lee would be fine, and that the only other member of the retrieval team that needed to be hospitalized other than himself and Lee was Kiba, and he was doing just fine himself. Kiba had a stab wound to his stomach that he had inflicted on himself. Rock Lee had many minuscule injuries to his muscles, chakra exhaustion, and a wounded shoulder from Sasuke's Chidori that mostly healed after he activated the fourth celestial gate in the battle. Naruto had to chuckle when Lee had recovered enough to tell him exactly how Sasuke had missed anything vital with the Chidori. Flashback, Valley of the End. Sasuke stood across from Lee, the black marks of the curse seal spread out across his body like fire. He had a cruel smirk on his face as he looked at Lee, who was set in his Gukken stance with a determined look on his face. Just come back with us, Sasuke-kun. I do not want to fight you, not like this. Sasuke chuckled darkly, but Lee. I want to fight you, ever since you first defeated me during the exams. Didn't you say you wanted to prove yourself against a genius? Well, this is your chance. Very well, Sasuke-kun. If this is what it will take, then I will defeat you if I must to bring you home. Lee launched himself at Sasuke to begin engaging. Flashback end. Rock Lee, however, was not as healthy and ready for combat as he had led most to believe. He had lost a considerable amount of his speed and mobility from the time he had off due to his injury, and Sasuke with the use of his curse seal was too much for Lee to handle in his state, even after opening the first gate and attempting the Omote Wrench, Front Lotus. The toll it took on his already battered body left Lee a mess, and a sitting duck for Sasuke's Chidori. Flashback. Sasuke's hand was charged with electric chakra as the chirping of Chidori signified his next actions. Lee tried to will his body to prepare a counter or just dodge, but he knew Sasuke would track his considerably slower movements and adjust. Either way, he was taking the brunt of the attack somewhere vital. Sasuke charged at Lee, intent on ending his life and moving along to Otogekure. This is the end, Lee. Chidori, 1,000 birds. Somehow both boys were able to ignore the streak of red soaring to the earth from the sky. Boom! A loud explosion shook the entire valley, crumbling chunks of the cliff and sending them into the water below. The ground where Lee and Sasuke were fighting was ripped asunder by the force of the following tremor coming from whatever caused the explosion. Sasuke, who was charging at Lee, intent on ending his life, slipped on his suspect footing as the ground began to crack and crumble. The combination of Sasuke's broken concentration and his face-forward trip made sure that not only would his aim be off, but the attack would not penetrate too deeply. Lee shouted in pain as Sasuke's electric fist forced itself into his shoulder, but he was still alive. Alive and still able to fight, as Sasuke would soon find out. Flashback end. Lee proceeded to activate the necessary gates to utilize the Yura Range, Reverse Lotus, on Sasuke. 3, but Lee still lacked the necessary force to aptly send Sasuke towards the ground hard enough for the finish, for when Sasuke activated level 2 of his seal, he used his wings to taper out his fall and skid along the ground until he came to a stop. By the end of Lee's barrage, he could no longer move and Sasuke simply left him there. Lee blacked out and was found by Gaara, who could not track Sasuke's trail in the downpouring rain that had fallen in the valley, and carried him to where Naruto's battle had taken place before carrying them both back to Konoha. Which brings us to Naruto sitting in his bed at the hospital. Naruto's entire skeletal frame had cracked due to the stress that activating the Kitsune trigger placed on his body. Tsunade had to do the analysis version of a double take when she went over his injuries at the hospital. She stated that Naruto had to be in excruciating pain due to the extent of his injuries that he neglected to mention were self-inflicted in a way. After the first day, he had attempted to leave, feeling well enough to walk without falling down in agony, but was blocked by Shizen, who stated that he was to stay put until released. That was 2 days ago, and now he was beginning to go stir crazy. But a little bit of boredom was nothing compared to what Tsunade claimed he would have to do on this day. Flashback, the previous day. You mind repeating that? I think I had something crazy in my ear. Naruto was giving Tsunade a deadpan look. A sigh came from the ample-bosomed woman as she looked at the bedridden boy apologetically. You heard me, brat. The council wants to hear from you about the mission. They got the information from my Umbu, who investigated the battles after it was all over. They know of the reports from Shikamaru on the matter. He listed how it was you that took down 3 of the ones that took Sasuke. Naruto looked up at the ceiling blankly. I'm guessing that there's more to this than me just beating a few Oto jabronis. Right, kid. Tsunade sat by his bedside. They also got wind of the fact that the epicenter of the little earthquake that hit the surrounding area came from a crater with a forest of bone, a place where your scent is thick. It didn't help that there are faint traces of demonic aura in the area as well. They might try to reason that the Kyuubi could be escaping. Naruto looked at her in a stunned fashion. What do you think they'll want from me? Tsunade shrugged. Who knows for now? All you can do is head over to the council chambers tomorrow and we'll find out then. Naruto scoffed and looked out the window. Well, excuse the hell out of me for being a Jinchuriki trying to use his Biju. Kami, everywhere else expects their own Jinchuriki to do so. This place is ass backwards, Bachan, I swear. Tsunade patted his hand and stood to leave. You can check out tomorrow for the meeting and then you can go on home. If you're well enough to get chewed out, then you're well enough to sleep in your own bed. End flashback. Naruto arrived at the doors in front of the council chambers to find the bare-masked Umbu standing out front. Uzumaki-san, the council is inside waiting. Hokage-sama said to wait as long as you need to in order to prepare for their questions. Naruto waved it off. No need, Kuma-san. I do my best when I'm on the spot. I just want to get the Gripefest inside over with so I can go home and watch my shitty closed-circuit TV. A snort came from another corner of the hall as Kuma moved and allowed Naruto entrance into the council chambers. As he walked inside, he noticed the conversation drop off and most of the focus fell on him. There were almost unanimous glares from the civilian council, and when he turned to bid them a jaunty hello, he almost broke down in laughter as they tried their hand at their pathetic excuse for killing intent. Naruto saw that all of the clan heads were looking at him and he could read their expressions as he made his way to the table he was to remain at. The Akimichi, Yamanaka, and Nara clan heads were pretty objective. The Nara and Akimichi clan heads were actually giving him looks of acknowledgement, obviously being told by their sons about his actions during the mission. The Inuzuka matriarch was smirking at him with mirth evident on her face, a smirk that he readily returned. The Hyuga clan head was just looking at him. He couldn't tell what was going on behind those white eyes. Damn, Hyugas have a great poker face, likewise for the Aburame clan. Naruto saw the council elder advisors and saw Danzo, but let his face betray nothing, as did Danzo. Naruto knew they would never openly get a chance to speak, not for a long time, and if Danzo found that opening he would find Naruto if he really needed to. There was no need for Naruto to act like a lost puppy right now. Taking his seat at the table, he looked at the elders as if to state, "Can we start yet?" Tsunade then cleared her throat to speak. "Shunin Naruto Uzumaki, you have been brought here at the behest of Konohagakure no Sato's village council for your details on the mission to retrieve Sasuke Uchiha." She turned to the elders. "Those of you that have questions on what happened, you may ask." Naruto turned his attention to the elders themselves, who opened the floor with questioning. Kohara Udatane chose to go first. "Uzumaki-san, if you could, would you give us a verbal description of your experiences during the mission?" Naruto nodded. "I set out from the village during the morning to catch up to the retrieval team in order to provide adequate assistance to them in case they wound up being outclassed by their opposition. After picking up a trail within the first half hour, I proceeded to give pursuit for about 3 hours before catching up to Choji Akimichi, who was engaged in battle against, now identified, Jirobo of the South. Choji was on the verge of taking the third of the secret Akimichi pills in order to combat his foe when I stepped in and sent him to go catch up with the rest of the team. I then proceeded to swiftly dispatch Jirobo and follow suit in catching up to the team." The old man next to Kohara, Hamura Mitokado, nodded. This much was revealed by young Choji's report and by the Umbu that found Jirobo's corpse following the mission. "You may proceed." Naruto rolled his eyes. "Then why did you fucking ask me then?" Ignoring that voice in his head, he continued, "I then found Niji Hyuga in the middle of fighting Kadamaru of the East. He seemed to be doing fine on his own, it was an even deadlock, but Kadamaru had yet to unlock the second stage of his curse seal, so I decided to intervene. Niji was able to keep Kadamaru's attention until I was able to launch a stealth attack from a distance that ended his life." Naruto licked his lips and paused before continuing. "Both Niji and myself then caught up to Shikamaru Nara and Choji Akimichi, who had rejoined the main force. Rock Lee and Kiba Inuzuka had been separated from the team while Shikamaru and Choji were being held up by Tayuya of the North. I sent Niji off to find Kiba, who had fallen from a cliff into the river below, and fought Tayuya along with Shikamaru and Choji. She caught them in a genjutsu, and knowing how much trouble a skilled genjutsu specialist usually has against a close-range specialist, I closed the distance and defeated her, freeing Choji and Shikamaru. I captured her, and Shikamaru along with Choji returned her to Konoha as a prisoner." Naruto then looked at the elders as if expecting comments. Tsunade motioned for him to go on. "Proceed, Uzumaki." Naruto sighed and looked at all of the people. No doubt everyone in the room knew what was next. I ran ahead and then made contact with Rock Lee, who was fighting Kimimaro Kagaya at the time. I sent Lee off ahead to retrieve Sasuke while I stayed to keep Kimimaro from assisting Sasuke's escape. After a prolonged conflict and timely momentary assistance from Sabaka no Gara, I was able to outlast Kimimaro and defeat him. However, I was too injured to continue with the mission and had to be assisted by Gara, who had also found and retrieved an injured Rock Lee. A civilian council member stood up. "So you let the last Uchiha escape, did you, boy?" Naruto narrowed his eyes at the man. "You already know he got away, you son of a bitch. You just want to use me as your whipping boy on the matter." Naruto spoke evenly. "I did not allow anything. He may have gotten beyond the border, but the team and myself did everything we could to prevent that from happening." Another council member stood and pointed at him. "But you already defeated the Uchiha in combat. If you had just left the battle with the Kagaya to that Rock Lee person, then you could have personally stopped Sasuke yourself." Naruto bristled at the insinuation. "Listen. Kimimaro Kagaya was far beyond any of their levels. He was sick, he was weak, and it still took everything I had to put him down. Nothing that Rock Lee is capable of would have beaten him. No one else on the retrieval squad or the relief team from Suna could have fought and defeated him. He might have even found a way to overwhelm me had he not used the last of his chakra on his final technique. Or does a giant forest of bones not register as potentially hazardous to a team comprised of genin?" The civilians sat down, seething at Naruto's explanation when Hayashi Hyuga's firm voice was heard. "The forest of bones was also inside of a massive crater. The crater was the epicenter for the tremors that struck Konoha. What can you tell us about that?" Naruto knew there was no need to lie at this point. "Yes, I did it. It was necessary to keep up with Kimimaro Kagaya after he activated the next level of his seal. It's a high price to pay to use that much power, however. the force of my technique cracks my entire skeletal frame. Inoichi Yamanaka was curious as to the nature of Naruto's maneuver. Would you mind showing the technique to us? Naruto raised an eyebrow. Yes. Yes, I would, actually. Not only is it something that really shouldn't be used outside of combat, it's not something that I want people to know about, let alone actually see. You all have your own clan secrets and all of that. Well, consider this something that none of you have any right to coerce out of me. Another arrogant civilian stood. We are the council boy. You are a ninja of this village and therefore your secrets are ours to know. Naruto gave him a look as if to say, are you serious? He looked up at Tsunade. I work for you. Not some petty merchant with a superiority complex. Keep him out of shinobi business. He turned to the council. The only ones that have even the slightest amount of authority over me are the clan heads, and that's because they're all jounin. Outside of the field, the only person here that can tell me to do anything is Hokage-sama. Do any of you have the title of Hokage-sama? He got a unanimous shaking of heads. Do any of you have that kick-ass pointy hat? Another round of no's. Well, then you can all respectfully stuff it. My techniques are my own, you don't need to know them, you couldn't perform them anyway, so the knowledge would be useless. The civilians broke into an uproar while the clan heads started looking at Naruto with amused respect. The main yells from the civilian council were calling for Naruto's punishment until one of them changed the subject altogether. You should be punished for allowing the Uchiha to escape. He was the last of our most powerful bloodlines and you send another genin to get him instead of yourself. Naruto looked at the ignorant man coldly. Like I said, Kimimaro Kagaya was far beyond anything Rock Lee could have done to him. Kimimaro would have killed him for sure had I not stepped in, which was my job in the first place. I was sent as backup, to get them out of unfavorable situations, and that was as unfavorable a condition as they were going to face on that mission. Naruto stood and began pacing. Kimimaro could have beaten Sasuke without trouble. Sasuke only had Chidori and a few Katan ninjutsu as something that could slow Kimimaro down, and that wouldn't have stopped him. What I did to make that crater, Kimimaro survived it and launched one final attack. As far as I'm concerned, none of them could have kept up with him. And besides, I was sent to make sure they could carry out their own mission parameters. My own were different from theirs and I did what I thought I had to do to achieve both. Rock Lee had not told me that he wasn't in prime condition. I don't know what would have changed if I had known, but that is moot at this point. Get back to the other topic. What did you do to cause the crater? The room once again got loud on the civilian side as cries of the Kyuubi is escaping among other asinine remarks were being made. The shinobi side were looking bored, most of them knowing full well that Jinchuriki should be able to utilize the power of their demons, so this wasn't much of an issue. Sume Izuka even let out a loud yawn signifying how bored with the proceedings she was. Naruto made subtle motions to the shinobi council signaling blah 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 and pointing at the civilian side, getting a few smirks on that side. He looked up at Tsunade. Can I be dismissed, Hokage-sama? I've already spoken my piece, anything from this point forward and there's nothing I can do or have any part in. Tsunade nodded. You are dismissed, Chunin Uzumaki. Naruto bowed to her and left the room. As the door closed shut, she sighed as another uproar from the civilians broke out. Naruto sighed in relief as he jumped along the rooftops towards his apartment. Well, that wasn't as unpleasant as it could have been. Hopefully Bachan can block any of their power play bullcrap against me. Naruto arrived and opened the door to his apartment to find Kankuro raiding his fridge. Naruto's eye twitched as he grabbed Kankuro by the collar and dragged him away from his food. What the hell are you guys still doing here? Kankuro looked at Naruto smugly as the boy let go of him. Don't you remember, Naruto? You told Gaara we could stay here after he got you to the hospital. Naruto looked around his apartment. Does my place look like it can accommodate all of you and me at the same time? Why don't you all go and get a hotel, you rich bastards? Kankuro chuckled. Well, we got the call to leave so quickly that we didn't have any time to go home and grab any money. We were fortunate Gaara asked you. A tick mark appeared on Naruto's head. Gaara asked me when I was hopped up on so many painkillers I couldn't tell that there was a catheter in me. Nothing I could have possibly said in that state of mind could possibly be held as a valid statement. Kankuro shrugged. It's done, man. Tamari swiped your bed, I'm hitting the couch, and Gaara doesn't sleep, so it worked out just fine for everyone. Except for me. Naruto had a perturbed look on his face, because you probably ate me out of house and home. I ain't made of money here, you know. Tamari came from the back with a sad frown on her face, but Naruto. When you stayed in Suna, you stayed with us, we didn't say anything. Am I really that bad that you can't live with me for a few days? The look on her face appeared as though his answer would end up breaking her heart. Naruto was slack-jawed and sputtering, I dash. But dash. You guys dash. My food dash dot. He eventually threw his hands in the air in exasperation and went to grab his wallet, fine whatever, I'm out of here. Don't eat all of my food. A grumbling Naruto turned to leave the apartment, shutting the door roughly behind him. Kankuro smirked at his sister, that was messed up, Tamari. Playing with the kid like that. You shouldn't mess with his head like that, he might think you like him or something. Tamari shrugged and walked back to Naruto's room, maybe I do. I'm going to take a nap for a few hours. Kankuro sat blinking in place for a moment, wait, Tamari, are you serious? Tamari said nothing as she shut the door to Naruto's room, Tamari. Naruto grumbled as he left his apartment, I can't believe this crap. What the hell is going on around here? Can I get a little me time? Naruto decided that since he wasn't going to get any alone time, he might as well get some food in him. Going to the place that he was most accustomed to going for his meals, Naruto ended up taking a seat at Ichiraku Ramen. As he plopped down in his usual seat, Naruto sighed, can I get some ramen, you guys? I really need some relaxation food right about now. Ayam giggled as she came over with a pen to write his order. Ramen is a strange food to relax with, Naruto-kun, even for you. So what do you want? Naruto pulled out a full wallet with a wide grin, give me one of everything to start, let's say I have money to blow today. Ayam nodded and wrote out his order before noticing the look on Naruto's face, what's the matter? You look terrible. Naruto chuckled slightly before looking up at her with a tired grin, I'm tired, I am Nichin, damn tired. I'll be fine, I just need some rest, I haven't just relaxed in forever. I can't remember the last time I just sat back and did nothing. I'd say I've earned it. Tucci came from the back and greeted the young boy, oh, Naruto. I thought you were in the hospital. When did you get out? Naruto grinned at him, about 4 hours ago. Come on, did you really think that an entirely cracked skeleton could keep me down for long? Who do you think I am? Naruto's eyes shined as they placed a bowl of ramen in front of him. Tucci chuckled at Naruto's expression, enjoy kid. He went off to begin washing dishes while Ayam took another customer's order. Naruto began to dig into his meal and ease his mind. He made it until his 7th bowl when a familiar head of pink hair sat beside him. Naruto turned to Sakura with a face full of noodles and slurped them up while making eye contact. Green met blue as Naruto stayed silent and finished his bowl. Upon finishing, Naruto set the bowl aside with a sigh and motioned Sakura to proceed, go ahead. Her eyes trembled, Naruto, Sasuke Kunai dash dot. Naruto held up his hand, you should be asking Lee about this more than me. I wasn't here when he left, I wasn't there when he ran after getting out of that barrel, and I wasn't there to fight him. If I had been, then he'd be in traction, sitting pretty in our hospital right now. All I was there for was to make sure the others didn't get in too deep, I never saw him at all. Sakura looked as if tears would come to her eyes. Naruto sighed and stood up, which way do you live, Sakura? She looked up at him, confusion evident on her face, why do you want to know? Naruto paid for his food and looked over at her, because in the time it takes us to get you home, I'm going to listen to everything you have to say on this matter. When I get you to your door, I'll tell you something from me that you need to hear. Sakura didn't really understand, but he was offering to listen, so she couldn't really tell him off. So she told him about how she had seen Sasuke attempting to leave, how she confessed to him and what he had said before he knocked her out. Naruto walked and kept his mouth shut, much to Sakura's surprise, as she had still yet to adjust to the new Naruto. The walk to Sakura's house took 30 minutes at the pace that they were moving. Throughout the walk, Naruto's face betrayed none of his thoughts. Sakura thought he wasn't listening until at one point when she stopped he instructed her to carry on. He reassured her that he was indeed paying full attention and was working out what he would say when they arrived at her home, so she kept going. Sakura's throat was dry and she was slightly out of breath because of the amount of talking that she had done, but she had put it all out there. Now she was simply waiting for Naruto to speak as was their agreement. He stood in front of her for a moment saying nothing as he finished thinking about his dialogue. Finally believing that he had worked it out enough, he began, "You really love him? Seriously? No bullshit?" She nodded and looked in his eyes without falter. Naruto smiled slightly at her. "That's a pretty big claim for someone as young as us to say, Sakura. Are you sure? Things can change over time, you know? You might not feel this way tomorrow, next month, hell, 3 years from now you might not. I am not flighty about things like this, Naruto. I made this commitment a long time ago that I did love Sasuke, and I would prove it to him." She looked away. I really would have left with him that night, Naruto." A frown worked its way onto Naruto's face. "That isn't something you should be saying out loud, Sakura." "But now what?" "He's gone. Gone to Orochimaru, the ultimate traitor of Konoha for power. What will you do now?" Sakura clenched her fists at her side. "Then I'll get strong enough to save him. I won't give up. I'll get strong and then I'll bring Sasuke-kun back myself." Naruto looked at her for a long moment. "You know that you actually have to take an active interest in your training, right? What I did to you in our match was terrible, Sakura. You have a lot of work to do. Sasuke might not willingly return even years from now, and if it comes to that, and you don't get far stronger, he will tear you apart." Sakura looked down at the ground sadly as Naruto's footsteps signified his leaving her doorstep. "But, who am I to cut down someone's goal? It's going to take a lot of training, Sakura. You really need to up your skills, but it's far from something that's impossible to do. And who knows? If you get your chance to go after Sasuke, I might just want to tag along too." Sakura raised her head to see a faint smile on Naruto's face as he walked away. Sakura turned and entered her home with her resolve for the future set. Naruto took to the rooftops to head towards the Hokage Tower. "Yo Bachan." Tsunade looked to see Naruto hanging around her window with a lazy look on his face. "Can you take the door, brat? I already have Jiraiya jumping on the sill every time he comes by. I don't need you doing it too." Naruto shrugged and hopped inside of the office. "It's easier than the door." A smirk came onto his face. "Unless you like it when I kick it open, because I personally love it. I would have no problems with doing that for you." Tsunade's eye twitched as Naruto flopped on a chair in the office. "So what are you doing here, brat? Other than trying to get me to put you through the wall?" Naruto's jovial face fell as he got businesslike. "How do you feel about starting up a program for combat medics?" Tsunade's eyes widened before she went to normal. "I proposed that idea years ago during the last war, but Sarutobi-sensei shot it down. He said there just weren't enough resources to go around then for it." A grin came onto Naruto's face. "Well, why not do it now? You are the Hokage, aren't you? Or is that pointy hat something I can buy somewhere for myself? Set it up, and I have someone you should look up first. She doesn't have much going for her except chakra control." Tsunade laid her face in her palm. "Then why would I want her in the program, brat?" The grin never slipped from his face. "Yes, she's pretty raw. But that's the beauty of it. If there is one thing that I know from personal experience, it's that a blank slate is probably the best thing for a ninja to be when they go into any kind of training. Give her some time and teach her right, she'll be just fine. And did I mention the chakra control? Who is it, brat?" Tsunade was interested in the program, and if Naruto had an idea of just who could be receptive to the training, why wouldn't she listen to him? "Is she one of the genin in your class?" Naruto nodded. "Yeah, my teammate that didn't end up ditching the village, Sakura Haruno. Check her out, see if she's what you're looking for, and if she is, get in touch with her." Tsunade looked at him as he stood to make his way to the window once more. "What are you going to go do, brat?" Naruto yawned as he turned to face her. "I'm tired. I need some sleep and some time off. Give me at least a week and then give me a new assignment. The cracked bones really do suck for someone who runs around all day." A smile came onto Tsunade's face. I put you on medical leave for a bit anyway after you got back. I'll call you when I think you're ready again. You're getting at least a week off. Get some rest. But stop in later this week, I have something for you to do. Naruto gave her a weak salute and jumped out of her window to exit. Naruto arrived at his home that night as the stress of the last few days finally caught up with him. He gave a grunt of acknowledgement to Kankuro, who was eating one of his cup ramen and watching his TV. The puppeteer almost choked on his food as he saw Naruto heading back to his bedroom and rushed to stop him. As he stood in front of Naruto, he could feel the killing intent radiating off of the haggard blonde. You better have a damn good reason for blocking my way, or my foot will have a damn good reason for sticking itself up your ass. Kankuro pointed back towards his room. I told you Tamari took your bed. Well, she's in there right now sleeping. If you value your testicles, kid, I wouldn't go in there. Naruto looked at Kankuro, then to the room, then back to Kankuro, who was shaking his head. He shrugged and moved Kankuro aside. I'll take my chances. I'll be damned if I'm sleeping on the floor in my own damn house. Kankuro went wide-eyed as he watched Naruto enter the room and shut the door before running back to the couch, planning to feign ignorance when the fireworks went off. Naruto took a look around his room to find it far less cluttered. Well, she picked my crap up while I was gone, I suppose. Turning his attention to his bed, he found his fellow blonde from Suna sleeping soundly on his bed. How can she sleep so well on my piece of crap mattress? I thought she would have been spoiled by their expensive, comfortable beds at home. As he edged closer to the bed, Naruto's thoughts were telling him that it would be a damn shame to potentially disrupt the sleep of this girl. Tamari looked way too peaceful for him to normally awaken. Too bad he was too tired to pay attention to his logical thoughts. Naruto edged her to one side of his bed, which she actually did in her sleep quite easily. She must have been a pretty heavy sleeper. He took off his shirt and slid in next to her, turning away, and quickly fell victim to the comfort of sleep. 3 hours later, a cold feeling was placed against his face, forcing Naruto to open his eyes and deal with the nuisance. As his eyes cracked open, he saw Tamari's metal fan placed against his cheek. Figuring that she wouldn't hit him while he was asleep, he quickly shut his eyes and slowed his breathing. Naruto snapped his eyes open when she shook his face with the fan. You're awake. That's good. Did you have a nice nap? He could tell that the fake sweet voice meant that he was screwed, so there was no reason for him to not be a smartass at this point. What else could she do after this? Not beat him? Naruto sat up, rubbing his eyes and looking at her with a dull face. It was alright. But it wasn't meant to be a nap. It was meant to be a 12 to 24-hour hibernation of sorts. Thanks for that. You woke me up. He checked his clock, 19 hours early, great. Tamari had a scowl on her face. I woke up looking at your bare back. What the hell are you doing here? Continuing to poke the bear, he raised an eyebrow. I live here. Didn't you know that when you got here? Tamari pushed him back down on the bed with her fan. I meant, what are you doing in the bed, you ass? Naruto couldn't prevent the smirk from going on his face before he responded. This is my bedroom. As you can see, there's only one bed, mine, and you were kind of in it, so I figured, hey. Roommates. Tamari began to unfold her fan with an angry look on her face. Give me one reason why I shouldn't blow you from here to the Hokage Tower? Naruto rolled over on the bed and shut his eyes. I'll give you two, because I just came from there, and because I haven't gotten a non-drug-induced sleep in over 3 days. Now if you're going to use that thing to beat my ass, go ahead, because I'm too tired to care. Just don't fuck up my bedspread. Tamari dropped her fan. Where will I sleep then? And how did you get here without me noticing? Naruto cracked an eye. Where were you sleeping before you knew I was here? He then pointed at himself, and, ninja. It's kind of in my job description to be able to sneak up on people. Silence reigned over the room as Tamari thought of something else to say until shallow breathing let her know Naruto had fallen back asleep. With a sweat drop on her head, Tamari left the room shaking her head. The next day Naruto awoke a strange sound. Not so much strange as it was utterly terrifying. Naruto Kun, YOSH. You must join us on our youthful morning exercises. Yes, Naruto Kun. You must train with US to keep up your youthful exuberance during your time off. Naruto woke up, stirring Temari from her own sleep while the voices outside kept yelling, "Naruto, what the hell is that?" Naruto groaned/growled as he sat up, scratching his hair. "Temari-chan, go back to sleep. I'll deal with this myself. This is a local problem." Temari did as instructed while Naruto stomped to his front door, finding Gaara silently watching TV and Kankuro mashing one of Naruto's couch pillows over his head. "Naruto, get those idiots to shut the hell up before I slip my wrists to make the voices stop." Naruto looked at Gaara, who didn't seem to be affected at all. Gaara felt Naruto's eyes on him and turned to face him. "I have plugged my ears with sand to block out the noise. Otherwise I would have killed them by now." Naruto nodded in understanding and headed to the door where Guy and Lee were outside still shouting about Naruto's flames of youth. Naruto opened the door and inhaled sharply, "Shut the hell up." Guy and Lee stopped at the sound of Naruto shouting at them. The boy was radiating killing intent with bags under his eyes. "I am on leave, damn it. This is the first decent sleep that I've had in days. I have no problems training with you both. However, I will train with you at an hour that is populated by creatures that are not nocturnal. Now beat it. I'll see you later. YOSH Naruto-kun, your dash." Naruto turned and blasted them both with murderous intent. "Get away from my apartment building or I will get Gaara to kill both of you. He's in here, I swear to Kami. I'm tired and delusional." With one last shout about Naruto's youth, both Lee and Guy decided to go off for a few hundred laps around Konoha to wait for Naruto to wake up. Naruto shut his door with a sigh. "Well, at least I know what I'm doing today." Kankuro sighed in relief. "So now that you're up, what are you going to do?" Naruto rubbed his head on his way back to the room. "What else? Finish sleeping with your sister. She's very clingy in her sleep, it's awesome." Walking away with a thumbs up, Naruto ignored the look on Kankuro's face. Later that day, Naruto made his way towards the field that he knew Lee and Guy were using. How did he know where they were? Well, all he had to do was run around town and listen for faint, or not so faint, smatterings of shouts for youth, or for repeated yells of Lee or Guy-sensei. It didn't take long. Naruto arrived in an open field to find all of Team Guy amassed together. Oh, for fuck's sake. Just to arrive smack dab in the middle of one of Guy and Lee's genjutsu moments. As the waves crashed in the sunsetting background, Naruto walked over to Niji and Tenten, who were stuck staring at the genjutsu. Tenten shook her head while Lee and Guy got their bro hug on. "It's like this every day. They seriously can't keep this up every single day. It's a phase. It'll end eventually. Right?" Niji had his Byakugan on as he tried looking away, but couldn't bring himself to do so. "I can't see through it." "What is this? Oh, Naruto's here." They both turned to find Naruto trying to avert his eyes from Guy and Lee. "So what got them started with that crap today?" Tenten smiled at him. "Oh, it was about how they got the youthful Naruto to agree to train with them today. Well, they were shouting down my door at 4 a.m. so I just wanted them to leave." Naruto picked up some rocks on the genjutsu beach and skipped them across the water. "That's impressive." The sound of the stones hitting the water snapped Lee and Guy out of their moment. Naruto-kun, it is good of you to show up." The boy in question shrugged. "I didn't have anything else to do today, so why not?" He looked around blankly. "So why am I here? I can't even spar with anyone. I'm on medical leave." Tenten walked up to him. "Medical leave? What's wrong with you? You look fine." Naruto grinned foxily at her. "I cracked every single bone in my body on the last mission. It's great. I'm in excruciating pain just from getting here." Niji activated his Byakugan to look at Naruto and nodded in confirmation. "Yes, it's true. Naruto has small cracks on the majority of his skeletal frame. Some areas lack damage, but the most used areas of the human body still have some going through them, like his arms and legs." Naruto cut in. "Which is why it hurts like a bitch to walk. I'm not fighting any of you today." Niji let his Byakugan fade out. "Why does your face not register the pain that you should be in then?" Naruto looked at Niji lazily. "Never let him see you sweat." Tenten noticed something strange about Naruto. "Naruto, where is your sword? I see your sheath on your back but not the sword." Did you lose it? Her eyes had a dangerous glint in them as she stared him down. Niji backed away while Naruto turned to answer, yes, but it wasn't my fault. I lost it fighting the strongest of those guys that took Sasuke. He was then forced to dodge as Tenten threw projectile weapons at him. Hey! I'm hurt here. Tenten held up a fistful of shuriken. You lost that sword. All of that crap you were saying about me being a user of many weapons and a master of none. Even I know that you should never lose one of your close-range weapons. Naruto grabbed Niji and hid behind him. Hey! I know exactly where it is. It'll just take a few hours to get out there. You can all come with me. Guy-sensei can consider it a field trip or something. He turned to Guy. Do ninja have field trips? Guy's teeth shined as he smiled at Naruto. A most wonderful idea, Naruto-kun. The Forest of Bone is something that many of the Konoha jounin have heard about but none have seen. What a youthful idea. I will get permission to take you all out that far, for I would be happy to accompany you with my team to retrieve your blade. Guy got them out of the village and headed off in the direction of Naruto's battle with Kimimaro. Throughout the trip Lee, Niji, and Naruto told them the stories of their battles during the mission. Lee told Naruto how he wished he could have tested himself against Kimimaro the way he did and that it would have been better for everyone if Naruto had gone after Sasuke and left him. Naruto almost fell from the trees they were jumping through in laughter. After he calmed down, all of Team Guy asked him what was so funny. Naruto replied with, "You'll see." Upon arrival, Tenten tried to push through the last of the brush to reach the clearing Naruto told them the fight took place in when he grabbed her around the waist. Tenten blushed heavily. What are you doing, Naruto? Naruto smiled at her. Watch your step. Naruto then pushed through the foliage to reveal the massive barren crater that he had caused during the duel with Kimimaro. Naruto helped Tenten slide into the pit while the men all jumped down themselves. Tenten got Naruto to let her go when they landed, blush still intact on her face. I could have gotten down here myself. Naruto looked at her with a grin. I know, but I'm a chivalrous bastard sometimes. He looked around and shook his head. I thought it was bigger during the fight. Maybe it was just the smoke playing tricks on me. He looked back at Lee. Still think it would have been better to stay behind? They all marveled at the sight of all the wreckage until Naruto pointed ahead at the jagged wall of white, and that's where my sword is. Their jaws dropped as they got closer to the results of Kimimaro's Sawarabi no Mai. The sheer scale of the jutsu was impressive until Naruto spoke. Yeah, it surprised the hell out of me when I first saw it. It all sprouted up in like 1 second. I thought I was dead. I had to kawarimi with the sword to escape. I'm glad I could see it from the top of the spikes. They all looked up where Kimimaro's body was still sticking out of one of the spikes. They looked down at Naruto with respect as he started squeezing through the tightly packed bones to reach the area where he dropped his weapon. After a few minutes, a loud curse rang out, followed shortly by Naruto emerging from the bones with the pieces of his broken sword. Oh man. I have to get it fixed now. Poor sword, you were so great. Naruto put the broken pieces of his sword into his sheath and started to exit the area to return to Konoha. While this was one way to spend the day, he jumped out of the crater and began making his way back towards Konoha. Niji watched as he left and spoke to Guy-sensei. If Naruto was able to do this to the landscape, how strong is he? Guy patted Niji on the shoulder. That's not what you should be asking. Remember why he was in the hospital. After knowing that it happened here and after seeing what the results of such power was capable of, do you really want to find out? Lee spoke up at this point, and if he is anything like myself or Guy-sensei, he will not allow this to be his limit either. And that is what is truly scary. Naruto and Tsunade walked through the prisoner corridors of Anbu headquarters. Naruto had been summoned by Tsunade during his leave from active duty and was asked to accompany Tsunade and Shizen to Anbu HQ to check out a prisoner. All Naruto was going to do was train in the Forest of Death that day anyway, so he didn't really have any problems with being called out by Tsunade, but he was somewhat confused on what he was doing there. Picking out his ear as he followed Tsunade and Shizen, Naruto finally questioned his purpose in their presence. Not that it really matters to me or anything, but what am I doing here? Why do you need me to see a prisoner? Shizen turned back with a smile and gave him his answer. a captured enemy ninja is for some reason far too weak for us to interrogate by normal means, and they happen to be too high profile to just go ahead with anyway. The info they might have could be vital to us, too vital for us to lose due to negligence, Naruto-kun. That answered part of his question but opened up a few more. So why the hell am I here again? If their body is weak, get a Yamanaka to go into their mind or something. What do you expect me to do that no one else can? I don't interrogate people, I kill people. Tsunade, Shizune, and even Tantan sweat-dropped at Naruto's cavalier description of his own on-the-job skills. Tsunade got over it first, because brat, you seem to have a knack for pulling things off when it's really necessary. We can't go into her head for some reason, attempting it injured Inoichi when he attempted to do so. Also, you do need to get some kind of paycheck, don't you? Or are the Suna Genin reimbursing you for all of the things they're using in your house? Naruto face fell but swiftly pulled himself back in line with the others. Okay. So who is this prisoner? Are they dangerous? Tsunade shook her head. Not really, since as I've already said, she's very weak right now. Besides, she's totally disarmed and you've already defeated her once already. Naruto narrowed his eyes. I've only fought one person that could still be alive and possibly be imprisoned right now. What, pray tell, is the real reason you're sending me in to do this for, just so I know? Shizune smiled back at him. Tsunade-sama thinks you have quite a convincing air about you, Naruto-kun. If anyone could get this girl to talk without resorting to force, we think it could be you. Naruto sighed. Fine. But if she spits at me or does something stupid, I'm leaving right after she catches a backhand from yours truly, I swear to Kami. I should have proved my point by how I kicked her ass the last time though, so I could just be paranoid. Tsunade gave him a dry look as they made their way to the holding cells. Violent much, brat? Naruto pointed to the Heidi-8 on his belt. My entire job revolves around varying degrees of violence, Bachan. If I wasn't violent, I wouldn't be so damn good at what I do. The group came across the cell that housed Naruto's mark for the day. All right. Will a guard let me out when I'm done? The two women in pig nodded. All right, I'll see you guys when I'm done then. Tsunade nodded as Tantan oinked and Shizune waved goodbye after opening the door for him. Naruto sighed before slapping himself and putting on his game face before slinking into the cell and shutting the door behind him. He looked across the cell and ended up locking eyes with the red-haired girl sitting on a bed in the corner. Her brown eyes looked at him in curiosity, then changed to anger, and then to fear. Naruto held up his hands in a placating manner as he walked in to let her know he wasn't there to hurt her. As he looked at her appearance, she looked pale, paler than should have been healthy. Her eyes had bags underneath them, probably stemming from some kind of exhaustion, and she did look very weak, spot on with Tsunade's explanation of her condition. Naruto pulled a chair from a corner and propped it in the middle of the room, taking a seat. He looked over at her, curled up on her bed as she warily looked him over. Seeing that she wasn't going to say a word to him whatsoever, Naruto decided to get the ball rolling. Hello there, Tayuya. I haven't seen you since I knocked you out. I assume Konoha's prison system is treating you well enough. Tayuya simply kept on looking at him somewhat blankly. Naruto sighed. This was going to be a long day, he could see it already. Naruto cleared his throat, unintentionally getting her attention. So I guess you know by now that all of your team is dead. Unfortunately, Sasuke still got away, but everyone that went after him from my village is still alive. Naruto saw that little bit of news brought a smirk to her face. So that got a little something out of you, didn't it? Tayuya finally spoke. I should have known you were just for show. Kimimaro must have torn your ass a new one when you chased after him, huh? Naruto chuckled, drawing a confused look from her. Actually, I ended up fighting him until he just flat out died. I was kicking his ass if I do say so myself, I just couldn't finish him. Her eyes widened at the knowledge that Kimimaro was dead. None of your little squad made it back, and you're the only one that survived. You can thank me whenever you'd like. Tayuya glared at him. You think I should thank you, shithead? I'm as good as dead, you fucking moron. You should have just killed me on the battlefield. That would have been better than rotting away in a fucking detention cell waiting to be interrogated. She stood up from her bed suddenly. Orochimaru, the fucking snake, he pulled the plug on the cursed seal, I just know it. That's why I'm so weak for no reason right now. I'm dead to him now, worthless. Naruto noticed a dark bruise on her neck where the cursed seal used to be. You're going through some kind of withdrawal from the seal's power, aren't you? That must be painful. Tayuya laughed bitterly. It fucking sucks, shithead. I feel like death right now. I guess I knew it would end like this somehow anyway. All that Snake had on your village was an element of secrecy and a shitload of pawns like me to move around. I don't see how he got everyone else in that fucking place to believe they can actually take out the strongest hidden village. I knew we were fucked back during the invasion. Naruto quirked his eyebrow. You're being awfully forthcoming with the information here. What changed from before to now? You weren't talking to anyone before this. Tayuya chuckled. Sure, if you call those misanthropic motherfuckers coming in here asking me questions that I didn't know or that I thought were too stupid to answer, talking, then no, I wasn't talking. She shook her head pitifully. After all of the probing shit, they asked me stuff like what Orochimaru wanted with the Uchiha kid. Naruto cut in. They should know what? Hell, I know what he wants. That is a stupid question. She started listing things. They asked me where the main base in Ta no Kuni was. Naruto cut in again. They should know that too. I told Bachan that after I brought her back. What the fuck? Tayuya continued. They asked me about how to get the cursed seal off. That bitch in the trench coat and mesh bodysuit was really uppity about that one. Naruto sighed. Why the fuck would you know that? Like Orochimaru would tell you how to get his glorified slave collar off of you. He rubbed his temple. Carry on, I might have to bitch to Bachan about this shit later. Naruto noticed Tayuya getting livelier as they continued speaking. It was like she had loosened up or something. Naruto just kept talking to her. He didn't really have anything to do today, and he knew it had to suck being kept isolated by oneself, so why not? Naruto listened to her bitch about the cell, and the shitty food, and how she wished they would just do whatever it was they would do with her and be done with it. Naruto eventually decided to voice something that had been nagging at him for a while. So why are you talking to me? I mean, I know I came to you and everything, but I really didn't expect to get a word out of you at all. Tayuya looked at him as if she was pondering the answer herself before she shrugged. I'm caught. The snake pedophile has all but verbally declared that I'm being left for dead after he cancelled the seal. You're strong enough to beat Kimimaro by yourself, so I know you could do whatever you want with me whenever you want, and fuck Otogekure. I hate that place. Naruto pulled his chair closer to her bed. So what? Were you forced into becoming a ninja for Orochimaru and Oto? You didn't want to be a ninja? Tayuya shook her head. Not really, shithead. When I was 5, my home village in Ta no Kuni was attacked. My family and everyone else there were killed or taken prisoner. I ended up stumbling upon a group of the bastards and they caught me and made me start. As far as it went, it was either learn or die, so I went along with it. And hell, if you have to do something, why not do it all the way? I was one of Orochimaru's rising elites by the time I was 9 years old. He had already put his fucking seal on me by then. Naruto chuckled, bringing her from her story. What's so funny, shithead? Naruto looked up at her apologetically. None of it, sorry. It's just, you were one of his elites for only maybe a few months, probably by time I was caught inside of Otogekure when I was 8. That had to suck, going back and telling him that you couldn't catch me. Tayuya shivered involuntarily. You don't even know, shithead. That bastard even disciplined Kimimaro, who was his favorite little ass toy, after we got back. None of us ever fucked up again after that. We were thrown together in an elite team and here I am today, the last one alive. Tayuya chuckled a little at the memory. You were kicking our asses though for the longest time, I remember. Naruto scratched his head sheepishly. I wouldn't necessarily call it fucking up. I guess you could say I was inspired to get away after Kimimaro almost took my eye. You guys chased me for 2 days. I still can't believe I got away. Ah, good times. Tayuya nodded. Anyway, yeah, like I said, fuck Orochimaru. I never wanted to work for him and he and the Uchiha can go fuck each other for all I care. Everything that I can tell you, you already know. That team played his hand close to the vest. We may have been his elite bodyguards, but Kimimaro was the only one out of all of us that really ever accompanied him anywhere outside of the base in Ta no Kuni. No doubt he has more, and that one cleared out the second the Uchiha kid arrived, so it would be useless to check it out now anyway. He looked up at Tayuya seriously. So what do you think of me? We have been talking for the longest time and you don't seem to be too pissed at all about me being here. I did capture you after all. Tayuya sighed and laid down on her bed. Well, I haven't been tortured yet, unless you can call the crap they feed me as torture, so I don't have a reason to be, not at you. This is your job, shithead. Actually no, your job is to kill. So as far as I'm concerned you could have just slit my throat, left me lying in a ditch and kept moving after you beat me. You may be the reason that I'm locked up, but I wouldn't have hesitated to do the same to you if the circumstances were flipped. Naruto nodded. Well, talking to you wasn't bad at all. Your language is a little vulgar, but somehow I kind of like that. I'll see if I can come back later this week or something. I'm on medical leave after your bony buddy and me made a mess out of the landscape. Tayuya grunted in acknowledgement. Sure, shithead. You do whatever you want. It's not like they can torture me until I get over the seal crap, so I'm not going to be executed anytime soon. Naruto chuckled as he made his way to the door and gave it a knock. So I'm shithead now, huh? As an outside guard opened the door for the blonde killer's exit, Tayuya gave him a toothy grin from her bed. Yep. Later, shithead. Shaking his head with a smirk on his face, Naruto shut the cell door behind him and nodded to the guard before leaving to report to Tsunade about what he had heard and done that day. After grabbing a short lunch at Ichiraku's, Naruto returned to the Hokage Tower to find Tsunade asleep on her desk. As he entered through the window he saw her face down on her desk, paperwork stacked neatly to the side. Naruto took a second to pick up a sheet from the top and give it a once-over. It was an order form from the Umbu trying to get restocked. Naruto's eyes widened once he got to the part that listed the material their kunai were made from. Man, Umbu get all of the good stuff. He placed the sheet back down and took a seat a distance away from the desk before making a kage bunshin and sending it over to her desk. The replication looked back at Naruto with a pitiful look. Do I have to? Why can't you do it? Naruto shrugged. Okay. I'll do it. The kage bunshin smiled until the original Naruto pulled an elastic from his pocket and shot it at Tsunade from across the room, hitting her right on the ear. Before he could even yell in fear at his creator, the bunshin was dispelled by a nasty right hand from the still sluggish Tsunade, who slowly focused her eyes on Naruto, who was waving from across the room. She blinked and allowed her eyes to focus. Brat? How long have you been here? Yawn, what woke me up? Naruto grinned as he moved closer and sat in front of her desk. A mosquito butchan. You scared the hell out of me just snapping up like that and throwing that punch. She rubbed her eyes. It felt like I hit something solid. Anyway, I assume that you're coming back from speaking with Tayuya? How did it go? He looked down at the ground. Well, she doesn't know anything that I didn't already tell you right after we got back from Tanzakugai. For being an elite, Orochimaru doesn't tell many of his own very much. She is going through symptoms from the sudden loss of the cursed seal. I guess either you or Shizen-chan are responsible for her not being dead from it flat out? Tsunade nodded. It basically poisoned her system and put her into cardiac arrest a few hours after her arrival here. It was touch and go for a while, but she's still too weak to interrogate regularly, or else we risk killing her. Naruto scratched his head sheepishly. About the whole killing her thing, you think we can keep her alive? I know that she's an Odo ninja and everything, but after all of the stuff she told me, I'm sure that given the option to live somewhere like this as opposed to there, she'd take it in a heartbeat, especially now. Tsunade gave Naruto a chiding look. How do you know she wasn't lying to you, brat? She is an enemy ninja. In return, Naruto gave Tsunade a dry look. Who do you think I am? I can tell when lies are being told to me. Not only did she not lie to me, she told me everything that I asked for, even the things that I didn't ask about. A grin then appeared on his face. Besides, I like that attitude of hers. There's nothing wrong with a rose having a few thorns every now and then. Tsunade snorted with an amused look on her face. So you think the girl is good looking? Are you sure you're not any closer to Jiraiya, because you're thinking kind of like him right now? Naruto laughed and propped his feet up on her desk. Well, she'll be much better when she gets over the cursed seal backlash. And don't ever say that again. I'm no massive pervert. I'm just a boy beginning to enter adulthood, and I have no problems admiring the female form from time to time. What's the difference, brat? Tsunade asked him with a raised eyebrow. It all sounds the same to me. Naruto tapped his head with his finger. Oh, but it isn't. A pervert will go out of his way to do things like that. Like peek on hot springs or write their own pervert books to get off. I, on the other hand, do none of those things. However, if a blatant opportunity to admire the opposite sex arises, I have absolutely no qualms about taking full advantage. Isn't that what ninja are trained to do anyway? Tsunade's sweat dropped. Did you just admit to me that you were a pervert? Naruto stiffened up and slammed his hands on her desk. Hell no. The entire point of that tirade was to defend why I wasn't a pervert. Are you sure you're not closer to Erosenin, because your mind shot to the pervert possibility pretty quickly? The two glared at one another until they both broke out in laughter. Tsunade and Naruto calmed down as she fished an envelope from her desk and passed it to Naruto. Here you go, brat, your pay for a B-ranked mission. Use it wisely. Naruto took the envelope with a wary look on his face. B-rank? All I did was talk to Tayuya. It wasn't even hard or anything, it wasn't unpleasant at all. Hell, I think I brightened the girl's day up just by talking to her. I'm going back later this week. Tsunade quirked an eyebrow as Naruto placed the envelope in his pocket. You're going back? Why would you do that for? Naruto shrugged as he stood and made his way to the window. I don't know. Being all alone like that really sucks. She's not really a bad person, she was just a ninja for the wrong nation. It's no real reason to want to hate her. As Naruto went to jump out of the window, Tsunade clearing her throat got him to pause and turn. An evil smirk was on her face that sent a chill down his spine. Brat, I hope you don't think you really got away with that elastic crap. She held up the offending band and placed it around her wrist. You're lucky that you're supposed to be on medical leave right now. Just remember that. Naruto nodded slowly and jumped from the ledge, shivering slightly when he heard her chuckling evilly behind his back. After cashing his check and buying groceries for his depleted supplies, which was not too hard when compared to previous times he did so, when on this occasion he said that for every dollar over the average that he was charged he was going to break his foot off in the grocer's ass. The houseguests that would not seem to leave apparently seemed stoked to be receiving the abundance of food. Anyway, he decided to try and get his body back into a steady condition, seeing as how he had all but fully healed from his previous injuries. And he knew no better way to get his body used to hostile environments than to head into Training Ground 44, because the Forest of Death was as close to a near-death situation as he was going to get until he got an active combat mission. Upon entering, Naruto took it upon himself to fuck with every species of wild animal he could find, from packs of wolves to birds of prey. Hell, he even tried provoking a bear, although he did keep from going too far, like into the restricted northeast corner where all of the truly horrible things were, mostly because fighting a slew of big-ass man-eating spiders and tigers twice his size was something he felt like holding back on at the moment. He had just gotten out of the hospital, thank you, let alone the morgue. So he had been jumping through the woods, getting some exercise and generally running amok amongst the wildlife to satiate his innate desire to generally cause havoc in an unrestricted environment to get his legs back under him. Landing on the forest floor to take a short breather, a small burst of killing intent was his only warning before a kunai passed by his face, cutting his cheek to bring about a strange feeling of déjà vu. He dabbed his cheek inside. Anko-chan. Come on out. Anko stepped out with a kunai in her grasp and a look of anger on her face. Don't Anko-chan Nigaki. I know you interrogated that Oto Kunoichi today. I also know that you didn't even bother asking anything about the cursed seal. Or more specifically, how to get it off of me like it was for her. Naruto was immediately put on the defensive as Anko came in attacking. He was forced to dodge the striking attempts from her kunai while trying to calm her down. Anko, calm down. You're being stupid. Anko caught him in the body with a hard kick that sent him flying backwards into the trunk of a tree. Why did you just let that question slide? That damn snake still has his seal on me. He left her for dead and took hers off. Naruto growled as he stood back up. If you would calm the fuck down, I could explain everything to you now. Unless you still want to vent your useless anger on me, in which case I will be hitting you back. Anko chuckled. I know I saw you run through those genin back during test of yours, but I'm still quite a bit out of your reach, my dear Gaki. Naruto shook his head. I know you know about the retrieval mission, so I have to ask you. What the hell makes you think I can't beat the shit out of you, Anko? Why would you try this on me? You can't scare me. I did nothing to you, and any threat that you even try following through on, I'll make you pay for it myself. Fuck disciplinary measures. Anko narrowed her eyes at him. Alright then Gaki, I was about to sit and listen to what you had to say, but now I think I'll rough you up a bit just out of principle. Naruto slid into a stance. Don't think it will be that easy. Of course I should thank you though, the wolves and the bears were getting kind of easy to take down. You should be able to get the old blood pumping. Anko licked her kunai. I'll get your blood flowing Gaki. She then threw the kunai at Naruto and headed in to engage him up close her taijutsu. Anko took quick, precise jabbing thrusts at Naruto that he was forced to parry or suffer due to the nature of her attacks. Anko went for the least guarded areas on his body, aiming at his neck, his eyes, even his groin. He really didn't like that last one, as evidenced by the return kick he gave her right back in the same area after one of Anko's attacks landed low. Both broke off holding themselves below the belt, doubled over in pain. What the hell Gaki, you don't hit a lady there. Cough, what's wrong with you? Naruto backed away inhaling sharply. You punched me in my junk. It was a reflex, and besides, just because you're a girl I'm supposed to hold back? It's not like you women ever guard that spot in a fight anyway, so why the hell not? It's open. Anko growled at him and thrusted her arm out. Sanaijushu, hidden shadow snake hands. As a mass of snakes flew from Anko's sleeve at Naruto, he reached for the sword on his back only to pull out his broken ninjato. Naruto's sweat dropped just as the snakes hit him dead on and constricted around him. Anko's face took on a victorious look as she loomed over him. Alright Gaki, playtime is over. If you try to move, these snakes will bite you, and they are poisonous. She then pulled out another kunai. Now that you're all tied up, we're going to have our little discussion about what exactly you need to ask about next time you see that Oto girl. Naruto looked at his scaly bindings and chuckled. This is all you've got? I'm immune to all of the stuff that your snakes could have. Naruto had already built up an immunity to certain poisons as a precautionary measure before his mission to Otogekuri years ago. All of the snakes from the jutsu Anko just used were among the first poisons that he ended up getting over. He began shifting around and, true to her threat, Anko's snakes bit into him. She gasped. She didn't mean to kill the brat, just rough him up a bit. That gasp soon turned to another as he broke the snake's hold on him. Upon standing, he looked at Anko's slack-jawed face. What? It's not like they were constrictors or anything. It wasn't too hard. He then decided to engage Anko instead of waiting this time. As he ran in, Anko smirked confidently. The kid wasn't even trying to work angles. The sound of something coming into their plane of existence signified that he had made Kage Bunshin during his push forward. As the Naruto in front of her tried to keep the bulk of her attention occupied, the Kage Bunshin he had created were flying around her trying to pick their shots. Anko did her best to trade strikes with the real Naruto and avoid attacks from the clones, but like she already knew, he was ridiculously fast for someone his age, and when he made contact, like the real one did right in her body with his fist, when the kid hit, it hurt. No 13-year-old kid should hit that hard. The one punch from Naruto would have sent Anko flying, had he not grabbed a hold of her arm and pulled her back roughly. She almost wished that he had let her fly backwards, as when he pulled her forward he smashed her in the ribs with a knee before stepping out of the way for one of his clones to drop a flying kick from behind on the back of her head. Anko was sent sprawling forward onto the ground and quickly made her way back to her feet to see all of Naruto's clones crouched in front of the real one, ready to react. Naruto crossed his arms and stared out at the purple-haired snake summoner. Are we done, Anko? Or do we keep going? Because unlike you, I have absolutely nowhere to be for the rest of the day. Anko gritted her teeth and tossed a kunai right through the Bunshin wall to hit the Naruto within, only to watch it go up in smoke. As all of the Bunshin dispersed, Naruto's disembodied voice rang out from the trees. Now that wasn't nice, Anko, I just wanted to talk. You want to know why I didn't ask about your cursed seal, right? She looked around rapidly for any sign of the scarred blonde. Yes. Why didn't you? If she could get hers off, even unwillingly, then I ... Naruto cut her off, because she doesn't know anything about it except how to use it. And Orochimaru may be a genius with ninjutsu, but he's not as good with fuinjutsu as you think he is. Why do you think he tested his seal on you and didn't just put it on himself? The detriments were too great. He didn't even research a way to take it off of a recipient until he came up with the seals for the Sound 4, Kimimaro, and Sasuke. He can't remotely deactivate yours like he can for the others because yours was made before he was any damn good at making them. There's a reason yours is the first. Anko shut her eyes tightly, so there's really no way to get it off of me. I didn't say that. Anko's head snapped up with that nugget of news. You know how to do it? How? A sigh came from her surroundings. I don't know yet. I'm starting to get into Fuinjutsu and every seal can be broken from what I've read. There's just a trick to them all. Orochimaru has something that I need in order to get a good read on what to do with your seal. I have a question though, has anyone ever put Fujihawan, evil sealing method, on you? Anko blinked, forcing another sigh out of Naruto. Goddammit, what is wrong with this village? Alright, find Kakashi, or something and ask him to place it on you. It should help at the very least until I can think of what to do with it. It could take me years to find out how to break your seal. Anko turned around as Naruto came striding out of the brush. Wait, that didn't work. The Uchiha brat had that on him and it broke. Naruto snorted. That's because his dumb ass was the one who broke it. The seal is dependent on the will of the recipient. He wanted to use the seal, you don't. It's that simple. He got drunk off of the power boost and called upon it. You just want the damn thing off. The fact that your model is shoddy when compared to the others means that he can't slip subliminal messages through to you to influence you either. Naruto turned to leave when Anko called out to him, Wait Gaki. How do you know so much about these seals? The Uchiha is the only person you knew that had one and he didn't know a thing about it. Naruto turned back with a smile. That is a secret. Some things should just stay buried in some instances, Anko. You'll never find out why because only 4 people alive in this village know, and they aren't very talkative on the matter. One might be, but you have to narrow down who it is first. Later. Naruto then proceeded to shunshin out of the area, leaving Anko alone. Naruto slinked back into his apartment later that afternoon before flopping face first on his couch, much to the amusement of the Suna kids, who were still there. Kankuro snorted in laughter as he saw Naruto's disheveled form collapse on his couch. Long day, kid? Naruto rolled over and gave him a dry stare. Why are you still here? It's been a week. He picked himself up into a sitting position on the couch. And where the hell are Gaara and Temari? Kankuro opened a bag of chips from Naruto's freshly purchased groceries and sat on another couch. I don't know. Temari said she was going shopping in Gaara, left to go do Gaara stuff. Naruto nodded as he was facing the TV before something clicked. Wait, shopping? How can you shop without enough money to even get a place to stay? Kankuro was sweating bullets after Naruto noticed his mistake. We finally got paid by your village for helping out with the retrieval mission? Please buy it. Please buy it. Please buy it. A hard stare was kept on Kankuro for a moment before Naruto relented. Fine, whatever. But if you bastards are going to keep staying here, you're going to start paying for your own stuff. Why are you still here? Answer me. Kankuro crunched on a few chips and passed the bag to Naruto, who readily took a few for himself. It's one of the conditions of our treaty with your village. We must lend out a genin team to help with manpower issues, and we ended up being the selected team since we're already here anyway. Naruto rolled the bag up and stood to head back towards the cabinet he remembered placing them in at first. Alright, you guys can stay here for as long as you like. The company isn't that bad and my roommate is cute. Things could have been worse, all things considered. Kankuro shook his head amusedly. You starting to dig my sister Uzumaki? You'd better watch yourself, kid. Don't overstep yourself on this one. A chuckle came from Naruto as he sat back down. I hope you're not threatening me like Gaara did in Suna. I'm just saying, she's hot, and she's sleeping with me in my bed. To just straight jump from having no visitors in your house for years to having Sabaka no Temari sleeping in your bed, it's definitely a noteworthy step up for some random orphan kid. Kankuro nodded. I wasn't really threatening you, kid. I'm sure Gaara handled that already. He's been getting protective over her lately. It's kind of funny to see. Before they could continue, a knock came at Naruto's door. Naruto rose to greet whoever it was before narrowing his eyes upon discovering the identity of the person filling his doorframe, Arosenin. Jiraiya gave Naruto a serious look. Naruto, I need to speak with you. Can we go somewhere? Naruto turned to head back inside and returned to his seat on the couch. I just got home after a few hours in the forest of death. I just got groceries. I'm hungry and tired. I'm not going anywhere, you can tell me here. Jiraiya sighed and walked inside. You mind if I had a seat myself? Naruto simply pointed to an open chair and sat down, Kankuro and Naruto looking at him. Kankuro thumped Naruto on his shoulder and whispered to him, You know Jiraiya of the Sannin? Kid, who the hell are you? Naruto brushed the older puppeteer off of his shoulder and let Jiraiya get settled before he spoke. All right, Erosenin, what do you want with me? I thought I told you that the only thing keeping me from actively pursuing your head was that you're too elite for me to try to kill and that you're too useful to Konoha. Jiraiya frowned. I know that, Gaki, but there are some things that you need to know. Orochimaru didn't take Sasuke's body, he had to take a different one before he could arrive and now has to wait 3 years before he can try again. Naruto nodded. At least something decent came out of that mission, so 3 years to find the snake and kill him and his vessel before things go to shit. It's almost easy. Jiraiya had to chuckle at how Naruto narrowed down the situation. Well, not only that, but do you remember Itachi and his blue buddy from a while back? Naruto nodded. It's kind of hard to forget meeting and fighting Itachi Uchiha, the group that they happen to be a part of, Akatsuki. They have also ceased operations for the time being, just about the same time frame as Orochimaru. Naruto let out a short laugh. Well, I don't really give a damn about the Orochimaru thing, I just care for the sake of the fact that I'm going to be involved somehow, but the Akatsuki thing. Hey, if they want me I should tell Gaara too, they'll probably try something on him as well, right? Jiraiya nodded. About you though. I want to take you on a training trip to get you ready for what is to come. You need to be ready to take down S-rank level ninja within 3 years' time. Kankuro's eyes widened as he again turned to Naruto. Kid, who the hell are you? Who deals with this kind of crap and doesn't even flinch? He points out at Jiraiya. He's sitting here telling you a group of S-rank criminals are after your head and you just shrug like it happens every day. Naruto looked at Kankuro and shrugged. Meh, if you start every single day expecting the worst you can only be pleasantly surprised. Jiraiya and Kankuro sweat dropped as the older man spoke up. That's pretty morbid, Gaki. Naruto snapped icy blue eyes back onto Jiraiya. I'm sorry, I guess the day before you found me I should have been thinking that someone like you would just let me be or at least let me wake up before you took drastic measures. Jiraiya looked at the ground. Damn it, kid, how long are you going to hold that over my head? I know it was a mistake, I knew it the entire time it was happening, but it was an order. If nothing else you can at least understand that, right? Naruto sucked on his teeth. Yeah, if it was something that ended up being for the greater good I probably would understand and accept it, even though you never tried to get my side of the story before you made me into a retarded 4-year-old version of my 8-year-old body, locking all of my hard-earned skills, strength, and speed away into the depths of my mind. But nothing good came from what you guys did to me. Jiraiya stood to leave when Naruto stopped him one more time at the door. Wait. Jiraiya turned to face him only to see the same stone gaze on his face. During the Chunin exams. When I found you, did you agree to train me because of the reason you said, or was it because you remembered what you did and wanted to remedy it if only a little? Naruto didn't let him answer. I'm going out, Kankuro, I'll be back later tonight, tell the others. Naruto then utilized Shunshin to exit the premises. Jiraiya sighed deeply and followed suit, leaving Kankuro alone in Naruto's apartment. Wait. What the hell just happened? 2 days later. So what's eating you, shithead? Tayuya shuffled the deck of cards that Naruto had brought to pass the time. She looked way better now than she did 2 days ago, her skin had gotten its color back and she looked like she had finally gotten some good sleep for once. Naruto sighed. He had come to talk to her because he actually enjoyed her company and she could give him an unbiased opinion on things, being that she didn't know anyone in the village other than him, and that was only a little bit. They were seated on the floor due to a lack of table in her cell. Due to the fact that she regularly talked freely to Naruto, she had not been tortured, nor was it seemingly on the horizon as long as Naruto reported to Tsunade what they talked about afterwards. What if the guy that had a hand in screwing your life up was trying to make amends to you, but the wounds were still fresh? Naruto took the 7 cards that Tayuya dealt him. Take them back and reshuffle, I saw that. Get the cards out of your sleeve. Tayuya cursed and brought some chuckles out from Naruto. Well, shithead, I would just say either kill him and be done with it, or suck it up and get over it. You can't bitch about it forever, that isn't healthy. Naruto looked at her as he took the cards that she redealt. Why am I shithead again? Tayuya smirked as she drew a card from the top of the pile. Because you act like a shithead, therefore you are shithead. There's no way I'm calling you your real name Fishcake. Naruto watched her place a card down in the pile and took to drawing his own card. Sure, Tayuya. I guess I'm shithead then. So you think I should just get over it, just like that? Tayuya nodded as she looked over her cards. Yeah, I mean, is being angry at whoever it is you're talking about actually doing anything for you? Naruto grinned as he finally threw down a card. Yeah, it makes me feel a hell of a lot better about being me, that's for sure. Tayuya flicked a discarded card at Naruto's head, catching him flush in the face. I mean, is it doing anything practical for you? Obviously not if that was the first thing that you told me. You told me it was an order from the last Hokage. No one is stupid enough to go against their superior's word, especially someone that high up in the food chain. You got sealed, I understand. If it was me, I would have killed him, but you're apparently nicer than that, and holding grudges really doesn't seem like your kind of thing. Naruto grunted as he picked up a card from the discard pile and switched it with his own before laying down a spread of 3 of his own cards. Fine. I'll try. I guess he isn't going to leave me alone now after what he just told me the other day, so at least tolerating him would be in my best interest. Especially since I can't just beat his ass to make myself feel better, he's still out of my league. As Tayuya dropped another card, Naruto smiled while picking it up and laid the rest of his cards down. I win, Tayuya-chan. The aforementioned girl raised an eyebrow at him curiously. Tayuya-chan? Since when am I a fucking chan? Naruto gathered up the cards and remade the deck before standing to exit. Since I became shithead. Take care, Tayuya-chan, I'll see you soon. Stay cooperative and I'll see what I can do for you. Tayuya flipped him off. Fuck that Tayuya-chan shit. And fuck cooperating too. Naruto shook his finger at her at the door. So you say, and yet you're as docile as a lamb from what I've heard and seen. Naruto quickly left the scene just as Tayuya started shouting at him. Get me out of here and I'll show you how fucking docile I am, shithead. Naruto shut the door behind him, chuckling the entire time, and faced the ninja guarding the door. She's a little playful today. Take care when it's time to give her dinner. The man snorted and chuckled along with Naruto as the blonde in question made his way out of the building. You are one ballsy kid. As he made his way to Tsunade's office, he entered to find Shikamaru inside as well. What's up, Shikamaru, how have you been? Shikamaru gave Naruto a small smile. I've been good, Naruto, things are about to get troublesome again soon. I've got a mission to go get ready for. I'll see you around. Naruto gave him a short wave as the lazy Chunin walked out. Don't work too hard, Shikamaru. As he left, he went to sit down by Tsunade. How have you been, Bachan? After the obligatory inanimate object was winged at Naruto's head and the two settled back down, Tsunade smiled at him. I'm fine, brat. Now Jiraiya came to me about something because he never found you to get your answer last night. He wants to know whether or not he can get you to go on a training trip with him. Naruto sat still, pondering for a moment. No, I won't just cut and run now. I agree that I need to train myself to get ready for Akatsuki, but I don't have to go anywhere to do it. I don't get what his reasoning for leaving would be for me. He said it himself that Akatsuki aren't coming for me for a few years, so it's not a matter of village security. If he thinks it's because I need to work on using the Kyuubi's chakra, I can do that here. I've been doing it well enough so far and it hasn't affected anyone around here yet. Hell, I go to the Forest of Death to train for that, so there's no issues there. Brat, Jiraiya can't stick around to train you himself for all of the 3 years. He has his own responsibilities to keep to elsewhere. You know about his spy network. Taking you with him would kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Tsunade tried to reason. Naruto shook his head. No, he either wouldn't focus on one or the other. If I stay here, he can give me stuff to work on and let me train, then drop in when he's in Konoha to see how I'm doing. That might make for a more productive schedule for me than simply being on the road. It's kind of hard to train when you never stay in one place for too long. Besides, you still need someone like me to help out with your mission load, and I still want my promotion too. I'm not putting my career on hold for 3 years. Tsunade looked at him, thinking about what he was saying. Are you sure you're not just still upset with Jiraiya? Naruto, the man is sorry for what he did. I know that he messed you up badly, but carrying a grudge like that cannot be good for your state of mind. Naruto waved her off. I'm still pretty pissed off, but I'm not going to go Uchi Hatim on him over the whole thing. It'll take a while, but at the very least I can try and let him back in. He seemed to genuinely want to train me when we were looking for you. He's trying to make up for it at least. Tell him everything that I just told you. I'll see you later, Bachan. Much to Tsunade's chagrin, before she could stop him, Naruto shunshined out of the room, making a mess out of the papers on her desk. Damn you, brat. She turned her attention to one of the corners. Did you get all of that, you pervert? Jiraiya dropped his transparency jutsu and walked over. At least he's out of the outright animosity phase. I'm kind of upset that he doesn't want to travel with me, but after how he just broke it down, I have to say he has a point. He was so convincing. I think he may be mature enough to know about his family. He's a Chunin now anyway. Isn't that the level Minato wanted him to be before he was told? Tsunade nodded. Are you sure? Telling him might just piss him off even more at you. Jiraiya sighed and looked out the window. I hope he sees it as something that was necessary to hide. If he's still upset, then I'll deal with it, but the kid still deserves to know at this point. I'll tell him when I get a chance, maybe before I leave. As Jiraiya walked away, he never noticed the figure sitting on a ledge under the window. Naruto scratched his familiar blonde hair as he heard Jiraiya and Tsunade leave the room after shutting the window. So my old man's name is Minato. I wonder how many Minatos lived in Konoha before the Kyuubi attack.
That's it for today. Remember to show your support to the creator of this story if you enjoyed it. If you would like more parts of the story to be uploaded, leave a comment and subscribe to get notified when the story continues. Bye-bye for now, and I hope that you all have a wonderful rest of your day.